Like the green buds emerging from the winter soil, hope is blooming tenderly in the Arlington community today. 3 siblings tragically lost their mom and dad days ago when their car was hit by someone driving intoxicated. Karen is 17. Matthew is 15. Ozzy is 8. Theirs is a story of forgiveness, faith, and love. It's about caring people, walking beside them, and holding out the candle of hope during these dark days. 2 of those remarkable people join us today on Spirit 105.3. Officer Justin Olson and Chaplain Julie Boyer. We are so privileged to have you here with us today. Justin, I know you got the news in the middle of the night. What was the story like from your perspective?
I got a call at about 3:45 in the morning, which is unusual. I'm a police officer with the city of Arlington as well as the school resource officer. So I typically come in at 7, and I get a phone call from my boss and asking me to come in because there's been a fatality collision. We're understaffed. So I threw my uniform on and came into work, checked on the officers. Later found out that a vehicle had unfortunately struck 2 pedestrians, neither one of them surviving. The officers on scene did everything they possibly could to prevent that from happening, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. We didn't know who they were at the time. We were working on scene to just preserve the scene as best we can. So we had our subject matter experts and investigators and detectives and stuff trying to decipher what happened and take measurements and everything. And, later it was determined that these 2 people ended up having 3 children waiting for them at home. So I've worked with Julie for quite a bit. We've been through a lot of, really tough situations where we've had to work with people who have been through a lot of really hard and tragic situations. And so, I gave her a call and she was on her way, and the 2 of us met up and contacted these kids and had to, explain to them, what happened to their parents and to do our best to, support them through that. Despite the tragedy, these kids have absolutely amazed me. It was so tragic and so horrible, and to see the love and compassion that they had for each other and how much they supported each other, and and the emotional intelligence and everything that they exhibited through still trying to decipher a tragedy that you're never going to be able to make sense of. I'm speechless. These kids absolutely amazed me, and it's so tragic and heartbreaking that something so horrible could happen to such nice people.
Julie, what do you say to somebody who's been through something like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, my role with the Arlington Police Department is both as a chaplain and then also as a peer support member. And so I'm often called in to these kinds of situations. Typically when our police call me to come to a scene or to come support a family, it's because one of the worst traumas has happened or a death has happened in their lives. And so most often, I think, the less words, the better. It's very much a ministry of presence. And of sitting in the ashes with people and just being there and answering questions when they have them. There's nothing you can say to make the loss of their parents any better. There's going to be pain. There's going to be grief. I can't take that away. And I often tell families and these kids when we were on scene with them, sharing about the loss of their parents, I can't make this better. I can't take your pain away. I can't take your grief away. But if we can make this process moving forward so that it doesn't add to your pain and your grief, that's our heart and that's our goal. And I always tell families, I'll be here as long as you want me around or as little. So some families we follow for years to come. And then others we meet for a short time in this really tough place in life. And then they move forward without us.
Wow. Julie, that is just incredible. I want to ask you about forgiveness because Karen is the 17-year-old girl. She's the oldest sibling, and she says she is forgiving this person who was driving intoxicated and took the lives of her mom and dad. That's incredible. How are you helping her work through that?
It is incredible. And I'm not sure I'm the one necessarily helping her work through that. She, I think, is an internal processor and has really thought and prayed a lot about her responses to the situation. And she has a lot of amazing adults in their family who have walked through this with her and several coworkers. She and her mom both worked at Safeway in Arlington, and they're like an extended family. And so I think there's been quite the team around her. And I have been privileged to walk alongside the family in some of their arrangements and in leading a private funeral service for the family. So I have gotten to be there for some of those moments. But I think Karen has processed a lot internally, and her parents both became believers and had a faith background starting a couple of years ago. And I think that has profoundly impacted Karen and Matthew and Ozzy as well. And I think that her forgiveness is coming from a place of faith as well as a place of deep emotional processing. And like Justin mentioned, the two teenagers, Karen and Matthew, have an incredible emotional intelligence and are very wise beyond their years. And I think that they've really thought and prayed about their responses over the last couple of weeks.
Well, we are so glad that these kids have you all to walk with them through these really difficult days. Justin, we know there is so much support for this family in the Arlington community. So far, about $60,000 has been raised for these kids. What is it like to be a part of that?
It's definitely a group effort, and the way I articulated it is that I know this is never going to undo the damage, and this is never going to bring their parents back. But these kids are going to have a lot of obstacles in life, and if we can just help them through some of those obstacles with whatever we can, then I think it's something that we really need to make an effort to do. I think there's so many times as police officers, we show up on a tragedy and there's really nothing left other than to document the scene, document the tragedy and the loss. And I kind of saw this as, one of the few opportunities that we have to help something that's left. As Julie pointed out, we're sitting in the ashes, but we're sitting in the ashes with people who still have a future and still have hope and, a very bright future ahead.
You two are both such amazing people. What does it mean to you to see the community of Arlington wrapping their arms around this family?
I've worked for the city of Arlington for about 7 years now, and I've seen a lot of ups and downs, and there's no surprise to me that the city and the community is all coming together to help with this. This is an amazing community, and there are some of the most amazing people that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting and serving alongside and helping and working with. And so to see them come together, I feel like it's really in the culture of this community to help one another. It's just a reminder of why I love working here. Yeah, I can't say enough about that. It's truly, I've seen it time and time and again, and it's so unfortunate it takes a tragedy sometime for everybody to put down their differences and everything. But this community, hasn't ceased to surprise me.
It's so very true, and I echo everything that Justin said. I've gotten to work as a chaplain with both Arlington Police Department and the Arlington Fire Department, which has recently become North County Regional Fire Authority, for the last 7 years, and it has truly been an honor. And as Justin said, the community is incredible, and I think that out of trauma, they shine hope. And that's one of the beautiful things about the Arlington community. And our police officers, firefighters, their spouses and partners and families were reaching out to me and to Justin right after this happened because they were the only communities that knew about it at the time until it became public, with offers of support and help, even from those two groups alone. And I think that's one of the things that is such an honor in working with this community.
Well, thank you so much. You guys are an inspiration. Obviously, your jobs demand a lot of this, but I can tell that they're not just jobs, they're callings, and you're really living into them, and it's very inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you two are such a gift to the Arlington community and beyond. God bless both you and your families, and thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.